Hey, Vsauce, McIntyre here. So, us humans are capable of getting diseases, like as weak as a common cold, or maybe as strong as bubonic plague, which is capable of killing off, or nearly killing off, all of Europe. And so, there are some illnesses, or possibly disabilities that you can get that can basically cripple your ability to live, and basically make your existence like torture.
According to the Centers for Disease and Control and Prevention, as of 2012, about half of the adults, 117 million people, had one or more chronic health conditions.
In modern-day society, there's a lot of controversy revolving around euthanasia. Euthanasia is the killing of a patient who has a chronic disease, mental disorder, or anything else that's crippling their ability to live.
So the reason why euthanasia is so controversial is because people are very split on whether it's ethical or not. People who are pro-euthanasia say that it's the patient's right to choose to end their own suffering. And people who are against euthanasia say it's the doctor's duty to keep the patient alive as long as possible. So, is euthanasia okay or not?
There's this thing called physician-assisted suicide. It is much like euthanasia, but quite different. As you know, euthanasia, a doctor or someone certified can basically just give you a lethal injection. But with physician-assisted suicide, you have someone who gives you the means to commit suicide, but doesn't actually do it themselves.
So far, the only countries that allow euthanasia are Luxembourg, Switzerland, Colombia, Belgium, Germany, Japan, and the Netherlands. And the countries that allow pass are Switzerland, Canada, Germany, Japan, Belgium, and the Netherlands, and Luxembourg.
In the United States, euthanasia is completely illegal. However, physician-assisted suicide is up for the states to decide.
As of January 2018, the U.S. states of Washington, Oregon, Colorado, Vermont, Montana, Washington, D.C., and California allow physician-assisted suicide.
Let's take a dive back to when it all began. The practice of euthanasia started as early as 500 BC by the ancient Greeks, but the first recorded use of the word euthanasia wasn't until 14 AD with the death of Augustus Caesar.
In ancient Greece, euthanasia was a common practice, but then Christianity started to become a thing, and human life was a lot more valued through religious practices, and so began to die out. Nobody really saw it until the 17th century, when people thought they should end their own suffering and be able to do so without any charges against them.
So now let's discuss the pros and cons of euthanasia. One pro is allows the person to choose whether to prolong their life or to end it all. This gives the person sovereignty over their life.
One con of euthanasia is that there's a gray area that is the difference between euthanasia and murder.
Here's another con about euthanasia. If it's legalized, insurance companies can give it to people who don't need it in order to save money. Also, physicians may be traumatized by the experience of perhaps killing someone.
Alright, so with euthanasia, there are plenty of things to consider, like how it's been under our noses this entire time. Like with our sick pets and animals, we often put them to sleep when we can't take care of them, and as an act of kindness. So why should this kindness be denied to humans? It also allows for our resources to be put more towards taking care of people, and not that can be brought back, and not those who have no hope.
Another thing to consider is that it may seem odd that a doctor might actually have to take a life instead of save one. After all, palliative care is a type of treatment made for curing life-limiting diseases, which basically makes euthanasia useless anyway. As of right now, people are just too divided as to whether it's okay or not, and the world seems to be at a standstill and not much has changed regarding euthanasia or physician-assisted suicide.
After all of this analysis, the question still remains: is the practice ethical or not? Should a person have to involuntarily suffer through an illness, or should doctors have to actually kill their patients? It seems like either way, someone loses, and that's why this issue needs a lot more universal love.